He's a headbanger today. Here I am, dun, rocking like a hurricane. Oh boy. See, before. Okay. I know I need to start over here and get serious. Let's get serious. Serious face. Can't do it. All right. The thought today is it's on how difficult it is to truly be prepared for when, okay. How many times have you seen like grid down scenarios? Well, I am preparing for a grid down scenario. And, but they're still in these situations where they, the individual that talks about it or discusses it, I'm not saying it, okay, I don't want this to come off wrong, all right? But the individual doesn't grow food, doesn't have any means of producing food, any kind of food whatsoever, just food in general, right? And water and all that stuff, right? It's just they go through, they show a stockpile or something. It's like, man, look at all the preps, look at all the preps, look at all the food I bought from essential foods products.com and stuff. They go to all these places. It truly is difficult to really be a survivalist. And some folks will, that I know a lot of folks I've seen recently that are homesteaders will, they jump on the survivalist and prepping bandwagon when it's, all this time, homesteading was a separate thing. And here's the thing, folks, it's like this. It is a giant circle. It is a giant full circle. It's full spectrum. It's full, the whole thing. You have to really look at every aspect if you're going to stay alive during end times. It's like, back to the folks that say, well, that's the reason why I buy guns. That's the reason why I buy ammo, so I can go and take from the ones that have it. But you don't have any skills. The individuals that say things like that, they don't have any skills. There's no skills whatsoever. You're just going to go out and rob people. There's no skills involved in that, right? And what if you encounter someone with heavier skills than you, especially someone who's trained to operate firearms better than the individual trying to rob them, and they do not succeed, or the risk outweigh the reward. There's too many booby traps and too many tangly obstacles to get involved with to even get to the individuals that you're trying to seek out to destroy, to seek out to rob and steal and whatever, plunder from. And I go back, man. I think, the wife, she kind of stops every now and then. I got lucky when I met Sippy. I got lucky, Sippy Cup. I got lucky when I met her. I'm not trying to get all sappy on you. I know a lot of folks don't like too much sap. But here's the thing. I mean, we met, and come to find out she had more guns than me at the time, and her family had been into preparedness for a long time before, and I was into preparedness, and my aspect of things was more guns and tactical. When I was alone, it was more guns, tactical, knives, things like that. But then when you start to count the numbers, when it's like kid number 1, kid number 2, kid number 3, and then you have the wife. There's folks out there that say, well, every single time, man, they try to sell me on products that don't make sense. And I said, well, I have a family, I have a really big family, and none of that stuff fits my equation at all. And you're sharing this with me. Why? Because none of that is going to work for this family. It's on a different scale. And then well, children hinder your survival abilities, blah 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 blah. Don't care. That you have to, you cannot halt your life for anything out there. You cannot halt your life. You have a God-given ability. You can successfully grow food. You can successfully do all the things you need to do to stay alive, to stay prepared. And you can take care of the others as well. And along the way, they can help you. It's not it's not difficult. It's not that difficult to take care of the family. It is difficult to be able to maintain and bring in and have access to food and water. It is a difficult task to keep it maintained, even if it's just for yourself. And if you're doing it for yourself, what's a few extra feet for your family? It's not that hard. It's really not hindering the situation. And in most times, bugging out is kind of impractical if all your preps are at home. It doesn't make sense. If there's no reason to leave, then don't leave. And I've said that a million times, I think. But going back to it, it's like, if you're growing food, if you're in the homesteading aspect of things, and you would just need to, at that point, you probably already have a stockpile of food. You probably already have a decent supply of food coming in, and all the things are there. The skills are there. You know how to maintain and sustain your lifestyle. And this goes back to something else. I tried to cover every aspect, guns, ammunition, being able to reload, but skills, know how to fight. You have to know how to fight, because you have to know how to use a bow. You have to really focus on everything. Like I said, you have to focus on everything. Just do it little by little, but you really need to focus on everything. You can't just have can't have blinders on when you're preparing for the end of the world scenario. You can't have blinders on. You have to really think about every aspect. It's not paranoia being prepared. And a lot of folks are bringing that stuff up, and folks it's just one of those things. But it's truly, it truly is difficult to maintain everything and keep that going. This goes back to something else that has been on my mind, and I've said it before during a live stream. We didn't do our live stream Saturday night. Son's birthday, and we've got to prepare for that. I was unprepared for my son's birthday. That'd be an interesting video, wouldn't it? Something that I want to discuss, that I think about often every time I'm building something, every time I'm making something, and it's just like something as simple as a firewood storage area or something. That was my recent thing. I'm trying to put lumber together for that, and start doing that now before the time comes when I don't want to have to worry about, I want the stuff to season all summer with the heat and dry out and all that. So anything that's not dry. But going into this, when I'm working on something and, I see other homesteaders, survivalists, preppers, Prepper Bob, Jim, Billy, whoever, and, I get to watching some of the other folks out there that are doing this stuff, and I see, goats and all that stuff. And they talk about their brothers and sisters and whoever are helping them. And I think about that often, how I'm working on something and I'm alone. I'm by myself. You know, wife's a nurse, so she pretty much works around the clock. And for me, I sit here and I'm trying to get something finished, and I've got my son. You know, my son's constantly, you know, he's like, you know, Dad, you need more screws, or you need more nails, and, you know, holding boards for me and all that. He's learning as we do this, and I'm very lucky to have him helping me. And it goes back to that children hindering your survival situation. I think, wow, you know what? Just having some help, having another person to hold the other end of the board, to have another person hold something for you while you work, while you finish the job. I have somebody run an errand for you. Can you take that into the house, or can you do this, this, and this? We lose track of all that stuff when we just sit and talk about, this is what's all in my bug out bag, or, you know, something like that. Instead of, you know, focus on things like that. I mean, we really need to look at the big picture, and you have to think about who's going to help you in a situation. It goes back to neighbors and things like that. I've been running back and forth to my neighbor's house, just going by, just to say hi and shoot the breeze for about 5-10 minutes and head back over. I probably get on their nerves, but it's cool. as long as they're there and they know I'm still here. So that's all that matters to me. But I do make rounds, you know, every now and then I head over and say hi to folks. And it's good, because when it comes time to focus on a watch, a perimeter, you know, to make sure people don't just come creeping into your spot in the middle of the night. Not just that, but out here we have predators of the four-legged type, and you really have to stay on your game. Well, also the winged type. Those little suckers, man, they'll scoop up chickens. You have to think about the long haul and who's going to help you with all of that. You know, patrolling and stuff in the middle of the day, and even in the pouring rain, doesn't matter. It's going to come time when you really have to stay on watch all the time, and you'll have to focus on I've said before, clearing out your woods and stuff, you know, all that other weird stuff you'd have to do. It's hard. It's hard alone. And when someone says, you call yourself a survivalist and you can't do it alone, but I'm doing all of this alone. I'm doing it all alone. And the wife jumps in occasionally and watches me work with a cup of coffee in her hand. I'm just kidding. She doesn't always carry a cup of coffee. I just like to rag her and make jokes. But and once it's built, once the garden's finished, this is the other part I wanted to say. Once it's built, once the garden's finished, the chicken coop's done, and all these other things, it's not the end of the world, right? Once it's done, you can sit and watch. You can sit and watch all summer long. You can kind of make a round, 5-10 minutes in each little area, and do what you need to do and get back to. But until it's time to grab the food, until it's time for this and time for that, and you can wait. And it gives you that time there that you could do other things, other activities. So it's you can do it. You can do it alone, but it's difficult. I do envy those that. I just want to say I do envy those that share homesteads and help others and work together. I do envy those people. Just, you know, it's not like envy. It's more, I said, man, check that out. You know, it's good. I wish I had something, you know, more, but I see, you know, as time goes on, I already have that. And it just, patience and a lot of hard work. This is hard work to be a true survivalist. Up here so I can get a bird's eye view of the garden so I can show you guys a better image of it. The garden is doing great, and I think the hardest part for us is the weeds, you know, weeding everything out. And I've been suggested a lot of ideas, from throwing mulch down to newspaper, so many different things people have said. you could do to kill off the weeds. And you know, I sit there and cultivate every section before I plant. It's ridiculous. It is a painstaking process. You know, I talk to a lot of folks about prepping, and it's one of these things that, you know, people get the wrong idea about. Some people, not all people, but some people get the wrong idea about prepping. And you've got to literally, if you're so-called survivalist or whatever you want to call yourself, right? You know, survivalists would think of every aspect of things and try to cover all the bases for any situation that would come their way. That is supposed to be the survivalist way of dealing with things. And I just have to say this, being truly into emergency preparedness, all this stuff, it really is extreme, intense, hard work. Back-breaking, sun beaming down on you, cooking you up, and I've got the kids helping me. We're going to do an update video of the garden next week, but so far we have carrots, radishes, we have different types of lettuce, we have beans. I know it's hard to see from this distance, but we'll bring you in next week and we'll do a full little video about it. And we've got the box herb garden going. There's a few weeds growing along the side there I've just got to pull. And we've got 10 very healthy tomato plants, and bell peppers, we've got eggplant, we've got squash, we've got about 80 cherry tomato plants all over the place, even around the chicken coop to use. We've got, did I say radishes? I think I said radishes. And we've got cayenne peppers, all sorts of stuff. We got banana peppers, and the list goes on and on and on. And we're planning to do more because we've got, now this, we expanded this. You're looking at this and you see this big box and you see this empty spot to the right. It's over to the left is the compost bin. I did a video on the compost bin. Over to the right is where the wife says I should just fill it up with corn, and you know, some good tight rows of corn. And off in other spots we've discussed, you know, anything that can grow a vine. So we utilize the chicken coop for around the edge. We wanted to plant. The chickens are happy. They've never been happier. It's crazy. They're so happy to not be confined in a small space anymore. And the wife still has to finish doing some painting, but we went ahead and threw some camo netting up for some shade. And we've started kind of planting around here. The wife threw in some flowers here and there just to spruce the place up. Still got to do some, we got to keep track of the watering because we have these dry spells. All around, like I said before, I know you guys might have watched the video, but that's concrete and wire underneath here. That's the reason why that's all dug up. And you got to keep the predators out, man. Not just that, but the predator net. So it doesn't keep the small birds out. But this guy is running them out. His alarm clock is set for 7 a.m. Not bad, right, buddy? Doing pretty good, letting people know you're king of the coop, huh? A lot of good-looking birds, man. I'm learning a lot as the time goes on. This is something that I have to maintain day and night. You know, early in the morning I have to come out and make sure everything's maintained and cleaned up, and in the evening I come back and resupply everything from food and water, make sure everything's full, and put them to bed. And I just lock them in the coop, and I put their ramp up. Their ramp goes up top.
Solar panel's doing great. For those of you that want to know, I did a video about that solar panel. It's epic. It's I want to get one more battery because it charges really quick. It is kicking up. That system is kicking, man. It's strong. I was running power tools off of it the other day. Okay, I know I digress. I'm just keep talking about the chickens. Shut up about the chickens. So down here, we did. There's cherry tomatoes, and the chickens, they eat cherry tomatoes. They eat grapes, all kinds of stuff. So we're doing cherry tomatoes along here. So the kids, later on, we can come out and just pick them and toss them in there. We've been getting them worms lately. The kids have been finding worms and giving them to them. They love that stuff. It's hilarious to watch one grab a worm, because they take off running with it. It's like watching a football game, man. It's crazy. He's got it. He's going to the left. Oh man, he's running. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's you can see a little bit better the concrete lining and stuff. They are loving it, man. They're loving this coop. One more thing I wanted to point out, like as far as the hard work goes for us on our end. See down there, you'll see a grown-up spot down there. I'm going to take you guys on a tour probably next week or something. But down here, you'll see cat's tails. Now, we've got cat's tails and all that stuff because this is all part of an ecosystem of a natural spring. And I've shown you guys the spring. We've got well water and city water, and we've got, well, county water, whatever. And we've got the spring, which runs, millions of gallons of water a day down that way. And you can't cut that. If you did, you'd just sink. If you even tried to drive into it with a tractor, you'd just sink. You can't cut that. You got to leave it there. It's a weird thing to explain to someone that has never seen something like that before, but you can't cut it. You got to leave it, and you got to let it grow and just leave it alone. It runs better. The whole thing functions better. If you can kill it, if you cut too much or whatever, you can kill it dead and it won't run anymore. It could dry up. You don't want it to cause problems. It's a strong spring, so a lot of folks have told me that already. It's like that's one of the strongest springs, so it's doing fine. You see out there? Let me see. See if I can pan up. I don't know if you can see that good, but way out there, I have to cut. Let me see if I can zoom. I have to cut all of that. And it takes me forever, but I do it. I do it to keep the snakes out, and that's the only reason why. When I was cutting it, the kids enjoy cutting the grass with me because they ride along in the trailer, and we do the trailer and stuff like that. I carry them out there and let them play around and hunt and stuff. But they've brought me 6 turtles. There's turtles. They're all embedded. We've got tadpoles and frogs and toads. And down here the other day, I couldn't catch it on video, but we had 6 turkey right there, right in that little line right there. That little bee's following me. Go on now. But we had turkey right there. It was such a trip. Now every morning we hear the rooster crowing, and we hear the cows. The cows are mooing. It's hilarious. Every morning at like 7 a.m. it just gets nuts around here. Just wanted to give some of you an update out there to see what's going on here. That's all I got, and I hope this gives you some food for thought to carry out your day, and God bless. Take care.